Hello. Today General Hospital will reveal, after an absence that stretched across nearly 2 tumultuous years, the long-anticipated return of Kathleen Gati as the enigmatic Liesl Obrecht has exploded across the General Hospital fandom like a long-simmering storm finally breaking. Her re-entry into the canvas is not merely a nostalgic nod to a beloved character, it is a monumental moment charged with emotional significance, layered intrigue, and profound narrative consequences. In a soap opera landscape defined by twists and resurrections, few returns have landed with the seismic weight that Liesl's has. Her reappearance is a culmination of fan devotion, narrative momentum, and the unresolved echoes of the past demanding reckoning in the present. From the moment Soap Opera Digest officially confirmed Gati's return, social media ignited in a frenzy of joy, relief, and speculation. Fans who had tirelessly campaigned for her comeback, organizing hashtags, mailing letters, tagging the network, finally felt vindicated, their persistence rewarded in the most dramatic fashion possible. But this is no ordinary return. Liesl Obrecht does not re-enter the narrative as a ghost from the past seeking closure. She re-emerges as a force of reckoning, dragging the shadows of decades-old secrets behind her, and most shockingly, introducing a never-before-seen character who threatens to unravel everything Port Charles thinks it knows about her. Liesl arrives not just to answer Rocco Falconeri's heartfelt email, which itself was a touching tribute to the bond he shared with her late daughter Britt Westbourne, but also to confront the tangled web of legacy, science, betrayal, and blood that has long defined her existence. In a shocking twist, Liesl is not alone. By her side is a young woman whose presence raises more questions than it answers. A daughter, allegedly her own, one never mentioned, never acknowledged, and whose very existence challenges the established mythology of the show. This revelation is not only an emotional sledgehammer for viewers but also a narrative earthquake. Who is this girl? When and how was she born? Why was she kept secret, and what darkness surrounds her conception? The implications are vast, and as whispers ripple through the corridors of Port Charles, speculation blooms like wildfire. Some believe she may be Britt's half-sister, the product of an illicit liaison Liesl once tried to erase from memory during her most morally compromised years. Others fear a more sinister possibility, that this young woman is a clone, or a genetically engineered subject from a long-defunct WSB bioengineering project that Liesl was once entangled in. And if that's true, then what exactly is she doing in Port Charles now, and what does she want? Gati herself has been candid in expressing how profoundly touched she has been by the outpouring of love and support from GH's loyal viewers. During her hiatus, fans never stopped asking, never stopped hoping. They wrote letters. They started petitions. They flooded comment sections, begging for Obrecht's return. And now, their unwavering loyalty has been rewarded not with a brief cameo or a sentimental flashback, but with a fully fleshed-out, high-stakes storyline that could redefine the show's future. This isn't just a return, it's a relaunch. Gati has made it clear that she views her work not as mere performance, but as an emotional pact with the audience, and this return is her way of honoring that bond. The weight of those expectations is heavy, but Gati shoulders them with her signature intensity and nuance. Liesl's reappearance also couldn't be more perfectly timed. Rumors have confirmed that Kelly Thibault, the actress behind Britt Westbourne, will also be returning to the show in some capacity before July ends. But fans are left wondering, who exactly will Thibault be portraying? Is it the real Britt, somehow resurrected? A twin? A clone? Or an entirely new character designed to destabilize the lines between science and identity? Considering Britt's own past, particularly her theft of an embryo and her willingness to manipulate genetic boundaries, it's not unthinkable that her return may come with its own disturbing backstory. If Liesl's newly introduced daughter is tied to the same secret program, or worse, is herself a failed or alternate version of Britt, the ramifications would be staggering. In this context, the stakes become far higher than simple family reunions. There is a real possibility that Liesl is not only reopening old wounds but setting into motion a dangerous chain of events that could threaten the very foundation of Port Charles. Already, whispers behind the scenes suggest that this storyline will directly impact the Cassadine family, the WSB, and even longtime GH power players such as Anna Devane, Elizabeth Weber, and Carly Spencer. There are hints that the young woman brought back by Liesl may be the key to a forgotten Cold War-era project, one that combined eugenics, neurological experimentation, and behavioral conditioning. If so, her presence could reignite old rivalries and force longtime characters to revisit their most ethically compromised choices. Rocco, caught in the emotional crossfire, may soon discover that the woman he mourned in silence, Britt, was never quite who she seemed to be. Liesl, desperate to shield him from the worst of the truth, may be forced to reveal that certain individuals presumed dead were in fact spirited away, experimented on, or had their memories altered in service of a larger, more nefarious agenda. There are even chilling theories suggesting that Nathan West, Liesl's son who was killed years ago, may have been subjected to such a fate. Is it possible he is still alive somewhere, his identity manipulated, his life rewritten? Could Liesl's return signal the beginning of a widespread reckoning, where identities are exposed as false and deaths are revealed to be illusions? Kathleen Gati has long been praised for her ability to imbue Obrecht with a richness and duality rarely seen in daytime television. Her Liesl is at once terrifying and sympathetic, a woman shaped by trauma, science, and love, whose every decision is a complex intersection of guilt, maternal instinct, and cold logic. From her initial appearances as a borderline madwoman to her evolution into a tragic antihero, Liesl has always been more than meets the eye. Now, as she returns with the weight of an untold story and the presence of a mysterious daughter, Gati has the opportunity to explore new dimensions of Liesl's psychology, her regret, her fear's protectiveness, and her willingness to destroy anything that threatens what remains of her fractured legacy. This storyline isn't just a turning point for Liesl, it's a reckoning for Port Charles. The show's writers appear to be orchestrating a wide-reaching narrative that will drag buried sins into the light, test long-standing relationships, and pit beloved characters against the ghosts of their past. Anna's history with the WSB may come under scrutiny. Carly's role in the chain of cover-ups could be exposed. Elizabeth's medical ethics might be challenged. And amid all of it, Liesl Obrecht stands at the eye of the storm, a woman once cast as a villain, now reimagined as a tragic mother, a secret bearer, and a ticking time bomb of truth. In a genre that thrives on shock and sentiment, General Hospital has found in Gati's return a perfect storm of both. This isn't just a storyline, it's a resurrection, a revelation, and a reckoning. And as Liesl steps once more onto the stage, the town of Port Charles holds its collective breath. Because when Obrecht returns, she doesn't just stir the pot, she detonates it. And nothing, absolutely nothing, will ever be the same again. Longtime fans of General Hospital, who have spent years yearning for the show's signature plot twists, the kind that throw everything into chaos and redefine characters overnight, have been absolutely electrified by the news that Kathleen Gati's return as Liesl Obrecht is far more than a fleeting cameo. This isn't just a nostalgic nod to a fan-favorite character. It's the launch of a sweeping, high-stakes storyline set to dominate the entire summer arc. Gati's return doesn't just patch a hole in the show's past, it cracks open a vault of secrets, unleashing a tsunami of revelations, confrontations, and possibly, irreversible destruction. For over a decade, veteran viewers have come to understand a powerful truth about Liesl Obrecht. Whenever she walks back into the canvas, the very fabric of Port Charles is at risk of rupture. Her presence has never been casual. Every time she resurfaces, secrets unravel, power structures collapse, and long-buried truths are forced into the light. This time is no different, except the stakes may be even higher. Liesl returns with more than memories of Britt and regrets over past sins. She returns as a harbinger of danger, wielding a living mystery at her side. A young woman whose identity remains cloaked in secrecy but whose mere existence could dismantle everything Port Charles thought it understood about its past, its medical legacy, and even the foundations of its families. The unnamed young woman is already being whispered about in fan circles as the potential, missing piece, in a puzzle no one even realized was incomplete. Viewers are speculating wildly. Is she the byproduct of an illicit relationship Liesl had with a manipulative scientist or spy from her WSB-influenced years? Is she the human embodiment of a rogue DNA recombination program, a product not of love, but of science? The chilling possibilities that she may have been grown in a lab, engineered for a purpose not yet known, or implanted with false memories as part of a covert operation, open the door to one of GH's most intricate and ethically volatile storylines in years. And the implications are enormous. If this young woman is in any way related to the same bioengineering programs that once touched characters like Anna Devane or Drew in the Cassidines, then she may not simply be a character in need of answers, she could be the answer itself. The key to understanding past deaths, to explaining disappearances, to cracking open the entire web of deception spun by the WSB and their network of shadow operatives. What if Nathan West wasn't truly dead? What if Jason Morgan's return was actually an overwritten memory transfer? What if Britt was merely the first in a line of genetically manipulated test subjects, and this girl, Liesl's daughter, was meant to be the next evolution? Liesl's decision to bring her to Port Charles isn't just an act of maternal instinct. It's a declaration of war on the silence that has plagued her conscience and a plea for redemption through truth. But as always with Liesl, her methods are unpredictable, her motivations layered. Is she seeking justice? Closure? Revenge? Or does she intend to use her daughter as leverage to dismantle the WSB once and for all? Her silence on the girl's name is no accident. It's a tactical move, a shield against a world that would rush to label her, judge her, fear her, or worse, use her. What makes this even more terrifying is that the threat doesn't come in the form of violence. It comes in the form of truth. Liesl may be about to expose the biggest lie in Port Charles history. One that stretches back to the Cold War, to the foundation of GH's most powerful families, and to the very principles upon which the town was built. If the people of Port Charles have been unknowingly living under the influence of bioengineered manipulation, if loved ones were taken, reprogrammed, or even replaced, then every emotional bond, every act of heroism, every betrayal may have been built on a lie. For those who think this is simply a summer filler arc, the show's tone has already proven otherwise. Subtle clues have been dropped, WSB documents resurfacing, Anna's sudden discomfort when past missions are mentioned, Elizabeth's unease with recent hospital files, Rocco's vivid memories of Britt that he couldn't possibly have. All signs point to something massive taking shape beneath the surface, and Liesl is the earthquake ready to crack it wide open. The young woman she brings could either be a victim or a weapon, perhaps both, and once her identity is known, there may be no way to contain the fallout. This isn't just a twist. It's an upheaval. It's a reckoning for a town that has long survived by hiding from its sins. For decades, secrets were kept for the greater good, and lives were sacrificed under the guise of protecting truth. But now, truth has a face, a name waiting to be revealed, and a voice that will no longer be silenced. And so, as summer unfolds in Port Charles, the entire town teeters on the edge of discovery and disaster. Longtime fans are bracing themselves, knowing full well that with every Obrecht return, chaos is never far behind. This time, the chaos comes in human form. Liesl's daughter may be the most important character GH has introduced in years, because within her may lie the power to dismantle everything. The only question that remains is this: when the final secret is revealed, who will survive the truth? Fans of General Hospital are not merely excited for the return of a beloved character. They are collectively holding their breath, waiting to see what will unfold when Liesl Obrecht inevitably comes face to face with the people who once betrayed her, discarded her, or chose to forget her. The return of Kathleen Gati signals far more than a character reprisal, it signals a reckoning. The question is no longer if long-held secrets will surface, but when, and more pressingly, who will be destroyed in the process. As Obrecht re-enters the orbit of Port Charles, she does so not quietly, but with the weight of memory, betrayal, and blood, ready to confront, expose, and perhaps even avenge. And in doing so, she will drag the town back through some of its most painful, unhealed history. Among the most emotionally charged encounters fans are anticipating is the inevitable reunion between Liesl and Anna Devane. Once colleagues in espionage, then rivals in motherhood and loyalty, and finally enemies shaped by their past entanglements with the WSB, their dynamic has always been electrified with tension. But this time, that tension has calcified into something deeper, unresolved grief, mutual blame, and perhaps, a shared guilt neither wants to acknowledge. Anna, for all her elegance and moral compass, was complicit, if only indirectly, in decisions that led to the destruction of Liesl's family. She stood by when Nathan West was taken from Liesl, when Britt spiraled, and when the WSB silenced lies with cold precision. Liesl, for her part, has always kept a ledger, emotional and literal, of those who wronged her. And Anna's name is etched in ink. What makes their possible confrontation so explosive is not the hatred, it's the history. Both women are haunted by choices they made in the name of duty, motherhood, and survival. Now, as Obrecht returns with secrets ready to surface, Anna may be forced to reckon with her own role in what Port Charles became. Will they clash? Or will they finally acknowledge the pain that binds them? The emotional stakes are massive. These are not merely two women crossing paths again, they are avatars of their generation's sins, walking reminders that the past is never truly buried, it's just waiting to be unearthed. And then there's the Corinthos family. Arguably the moral and emotional center of General Hospital. Liesl has a complicated history with them, especially with Carly and Sonny. For years, they existed in different spheres, yet their worlds collided in moments of intense consequence, medical cover-ups, backroom alliances, and fractured trust. With her return, Liesl brings not just a personal vendetta, but the potential to shatter the carefully preserved facade that has kept the Corinthos empire intact. Carly, who has built her identity around control and maternal instinct, may find herself deeply unsettled by the truths Liesl is prepared to unleash. And Sonny, already drifting in and out of control, may have to face the reality that his past decisions, especially those involving WSB cooperation and backdoor deals, were far more destructive than he imagined. The emotional collisions that await are not simply plot devices, they are psychological time bombs. Because Obrecht doesn't just reveal the truth, she weaponizes it. And in doing so, she forces those around her to confront the version of themselves they've tried so hard to escape. Through her presence, the audience will be forced to re-examine not just the events of the past, but how every character coped with them. Did they suppress? Did they rationalize? Did they forget? But most of all, what fans understand, what they feel, is that Liesl Obrecht is a character forged in pain. Her entire existence has been shaped by trauma, the son murdered before justice could be served, the daughter lost to the cruelty of fate and systemic neglect, the colleagues who treated her as disposable, and the system that punished her brilliance while rewarding those with cleaner reputations. She has lied, manipulated, and even harmed, but she has also loved, protected, and mourned with an intensity few others have. This duality is what makes her return so powerful. She is not simply a villain. She is not simply a victim. She is both, and neither. And it is within this gray space that General Hospital finds its greatest narrative power. As she moves through Port Charles, revisiting places that carry the ghosts of her children, Liesl will be met with resistance, suspicion, and even fear. But underneath it all, there is an inescapable truth: the town needs her. Not because she's righteous, but because she's honest. Honest in a way others have forgotten how to be. She remembers what others have tried to forget. And now, she returns not just to mourn what she lost, but to challenge the very notion of what was ever truly real. The past isn't dead. It isn't even past. It lives in the corridors of General Hospital, in the laboratories, in the bloodlines, and in the secrets etched into old WSB files. And so, Liesl Obrecht steps once more into the heart of the storm. Uninvited, unrepentant, and utterly unstoppable. She is not here for redemption. She is here for reckoning. And as truths long buried begin to claw their way to the surface, Port Charles will learn, perhaps too late, that the past always demands its due. Liesl's return is not just the resurrection of a character. It is the return of consequence. And it will reshape the legacy of General Hospital forever. As the storm of Obrecht's return gathers force, it becomes increasingly clear that her presence is not just a passing disruption but a catalyst for long overdue transformation. The ground beneath Port Charles is already trembling, its residents sensing, even if they can't yet articulate it, that everything they thought was settled is now unraveling. Liesl is not merely back to stir up old wounds. She is here to excavate them, to confront a history built on silence, and to demand accountability from those who buried the truth for the sake of comfort, reputation, or self-preservation. With a mysterious daughter by her side, unanswered questions surrounding her past, and a volatile path of emotional reckonings ahead, Liesl stands poised at the center of a narrative unlike any General Hospital has tackled in years. She embodies the unspoken truth that the past is never really gone. And that healing can only begin when the full weight of buried secrets is brought into the light. Her return is a reminder that justice is not always clean, redemption is not always linear, and survival often comes at a cost too painful to name.